of 22,240 shillings.
It is a sigh of relief for junior secondary and senior schools after the Ministry of Education promised to release 28 billion shillings capitation by Friday this week. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu said those pupils in junior secondary school will receive an allocation of 15,040 shillings each, while senior secondary school students will get 22,240 shillings each.
And the amount of money that the government is releasing this week in junior secondary and also in senior secondary is to a total of 28 billion. So you can see the amount of money that the government is committing to mothers' education.
The delay in the release of the funds had seen principals raise concern on the management of the learning institutions battling the high cost of foodstuffs and essential items. Speaking in Siaya County as he accompanied the Information, Communication and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo in disbursement of 9 million shillings to Kametho and Seger primary and secondary schools for infrastructure development, Machogu also defended the proposed government university funding formula, saying it will create equity in resource allocation. Meanwhile, the government will construct at least 1,450 digital laboratories across the country in the next 5 years as it seeks to expand information, communication and technology infrastructure. Information, Communication and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo also says a further 25,000 markets will be connected to free Wi-Fi to enable small-scale traders engaging in digital trade. For Owalo, the government is betting big on the digital space to absorb the high number of unemployed youth in the country.
Digital laboratories is where you give us a classroom like this one. We come and set up computers, 100 computers which I'm going to bring soon. We connect the internet, we bring the teachers to train these students so that they acquire digital skills. Once they are in that progress, we are also going ahead to link up with global technological companies to bring digital jobs for this youth.
All our technical and vocational institutions, we are providing what we call digital laboratories. What is the purpose of this? When you see us giving computers and Owalo giving experts to come and teach, to come and inculcate some competencies and skills to our young people. The purpose of it is actually solving unemployment, because once they gain and access the kind of skills and the competencies we are talking about, then they will be able to access international jobs.
County governments are being urged to publish non-financial information, especially in their budget implementation reports, to increase transparency and public trust as they run the affairs of the devolved units. Kenya's County Budget Transparency Survey of 2022 has placed counties of West Pokot, Makueni and Kwale as the most transparent, while Isiolo, Kajiado and Migori counties have also been ranked as the least transparent, with failure to publish any key public budget documents cited as a reason, among others, for the rankings.
The report, dubbed Kenya's County Budget Transparency Survey 2022, launched to place the counties of Kwale, Bungoma and Taita Taveta as the top 3 most improved counties. The counties have been commended for publishing comprehensive quarterly implementation reports, publishing of the annual development plan and the approved program-based budget, among others.
From the budget and implementation, things change in between. Because at the budget level, we may put an amount, but at implementation level, there's variation. We may spend less than what was budgeted, or we may need to variate and add more. So the public needs to be informed.
You have seen Lamu County has improved. I will not disclose what we're going to do because we want to, I think number 1 is up for grabs.
West Pokot, Makueni and Kwale counties have emerged as the most transparent counties with a score of 78, 75 and 74 out of 100 respectively. The report is recommending, among others, timely publication of the key budget documents.
Moved a motion to take the next Mashinani sitting to Turkana County. In the motion by the Senate Leader of Majority, the Senate resolved to hold its sittings in the counties for a week within the month of September in every session of the 4th Senate except during the election year. The previous Senate Mashinani sittings have been held in Uasin Gishu and Kitui counties.
The city and going to Mashinani and being able to interact with the people of Turkana, be able to see the resources that are in place. It is through this that we actually embrace devolution, we actually embrace the county issues that we're keeping on embracing.
Turkana is one of the counties where development has not really taken place, despite even devolution. I know there is a lot of money that they are getting as a result of devolution, but unfortunately the situation is still the same, Mr. Speaker, and I hope this House will be able to look at that and see why there is no major impact, especially as far as the budgetary allocation is concerned.
Sisi tutaongeza uhusiano zaidi. Na hakika kuna watu wengine ambao wameishi Turkana mpaka hivi sasa hawajawahi pengine kukutana na maseneta wengine kutoka kaunti zingine. Itakuwa nafasi nzuri kuwa na uhusiano mwema na watu wa kule, kuweza kukaa nao na kuongea na kuangalia wao waone taratibu za Senate zinaendelea namna gani.
Let us look at the balls. The report that we have received, Mr. Speaker, indicating that balls have been sunk for the people of Turkana. This is a golden opportunity for us to go to the ground.
The balls have been sunk in Turkana.
Is really the position.
Balls are sunk.
Let's do our hospitals in Turkana. We see whether health, which is a devolved function, and there is a big debate now whether health functions should remain functions of counties or they should revert back to national government. Let's see what devolution has done in terms of giving the people of Turkana access to health care. And
Kenyans and others can get opportunity to discover what is in their country. So, Mr. Speaker, I support the Senate Mashinani, and I hope, Mr. Speaker, this can be met at least 2 sessions in a year so that as many counties as possible can get the opportunity to participate in this Senate Mashinani.
Now we cross over to business, where Central Bank of Kenya Governor nominee Dr. Kamau Thuge says keeping inflation within the government's target and maintaining a stable shilling will be his key priority if he takes up the mantle as the 10th CBK governor. Dr. Thuge, who told legislators vetting him that his net worth is 450 million shillings, said he will also focus on increasing credit access, especially to the private sector, and issue a locally sold dollar-denominated bond to address dollar shortage.
What is your view on improving policy coordination between the monetary policy and fiscal policy to ensure that there is stable financial sector and economic development?
Okay, I think it has not so much the system of assessing credit risk, but that the economy is not performing as well as it could. And I believe that once we are able to unlock the growth, that these non-performing loans will decline accordingly. On the issue of the Section 33 of the Banking Act and the ceiling of 4% over the CBR, of course, this has since been removed. It was, I believe, implemented in September of 2016 and removed in late 2019. I think it did not have a good impact on the financial system.
Should you be given this opportunity, we all understand now that Kenyan currency is really depreciating because of inflation. Focusing on this sector, what would be your advice to the government should you be considered?
I truly do believe that monetary policy must be used to reduce inflation. I see inflation as a tax on everybody in the country. because when prices go up, everybody's real income is reduced, and therefore, to me, it's paramount that we actually address inflation as a matter of priority. But as I've said, I believe that inflation now is on a downward trend. It's last month it was 7.9.
The results of that particular vetting, be sure, will be coming your way. Now, Kenya is hosting the Kenya International Investment Conference, and it has been running all the way from Monday, and KBC has been the media partner. Today marks the last day of talks, business to business as well as networking, with one key objective: opening up Africa to more trade that is currently at 17%. So yesterday was the second day. Here's a recap on what happened, where Kenya, especially the government-driven, is on a charm offensive to woo investors, banking on incentives such as graduated corporate tax holidays, import duty and VAT exemptions, withholding tax exemptions in remittance to non-residents, as well as expedited project approvals. Investment and Promotion Principal Secretary Abubakar Hassan says the operationalization of the Special Operating Framework Agreement creates a platform through which investors making high-value strategic investments can negotiate additional incentives with the government. Here's a report I filed yesterday. Acts as the investment hub for the region, providing a market of about 300 million consumers, making it an attractive investment destination. To sweeten the deal, the government has rolled out a series of incentives targeting both local and international investors.
Government has partnered with private sector, Afrexim Bank and the rest, to develop extra processing zones and special economic zones.
Under the Kenya's export processing zones and special economic zones programs, investors benefit from graduated corporate tax holidays, import duty and VAT exemptions, withholding tax exemptions in remittance to non-residents, as well as expedited project approvals, a fact that government is banking on to increase the value of foreign direct investments from the current $500 million to $10 billion by December 31st, 2023.
The President has removed the domestic equity requirement of 30% for foreign ICT companies wishing to set up in Kenya.
So far, Kenya has concluded a $50 million deal under the Special Operating Framework Agreement with Moderna for the establishment in Kenya of the first human vaccine production facility in Africa based on an mRNA technology. Local private sector players have lauded the incentives, laying emphasis on the need to support startups and micro-small enterprises.
We must be deliberate to support and integrate SMEs to play increased role on the value chains of the large enterprises that often have an upper hand in accessing export markets. All our countries, 70 to 80% of our businesses are SME.
Private sector being targeted there as government seeks to increase its investment portfolio from the current $500 million to $10 billion within the next 7 months. I'm Regina Manyara for KBC Channel 1. That's quite an ambitious target, moving the investment portfolio in as far as value is concerned from the current $500 million to $10 billion within the next 7 months. Is this the direction that the government is going to be taking when it comes to increasing intra-African trade as key to actually realizing this? We'll be keeping tabs on that, and today being the last day of this particular conference, we expect a communique that is going to give the outcomes of this particular conference, and that is going to be delivered in the course of the day after the ceremony at around 6 p.m. by none other than Trade Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria. So do keep it KBC Channel 1 for the updates. Now, still looking at what Kenya has to offer and what Africa also has to offer in as far as a continent-to-continent trade is concerned, is that Kenya is diversifying into new tourism frontiers such as medical tourism that will be creatively packaged to potential clients in Africa. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Penina Malonza says monetization of creatives and professionals in this niche market can enhance Kenya's appeal to the continent. Here's Hibak Said.
In travel and hospitality post-COVID, numbers in Kenya are yet to recover to pre-COVID figures.
The medical tourism, which is a new niche in this country.
So we need to create opportunities for them, working with counties, roads, Instagrammable opportunities and sites where people can stop, enjoy themselves, and tell their stories and the experiences that they have.
To fasten the recovery, Kenya is exploring how to package the many medical and wellness facilities to boost tourist inflows. She says monetization of niche tourism talents are the go-to strategy to unlock new revenue streams.
Looking at investing in eco-tourism sector, we're also looking at investing in aquariums in this country.
What are the other requirements? We know we have a large agricultural base. We need to improve our export bases, right? So what are the ways we can institute the frameworks and the learnings, industry best practices? Because a lot of these initiatives we're doing today, other countries have gone down these roads initiatives. We need to learn from some of the countries.
There is progress to have infrastructure and digital strides to support this. The tourism sector's inability to make a complete turnaround even after the COVID pandemic is still a mystery to many tourism sector players. However, the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism, Penina Malonza, says that maybe if we look into niche sectors, we can be able to achieve this.
From tourism, let's speak sports, where Nairobi Water Queens coach Jack Ochieng has been named as a Star Times Sports Journalist Award Kenya Coach of the Month of March 2023. Ochieng guided Nairobi Water Queens to retain the Kenya Handball Federation Women's League title.
Jack Ochieng led Water Queens to achieve the feat after they gunned down rivals Ulinzi Sharks 28-25 win in a highly charged match on 25th March. In winning the award, Ochieng took home prize money of 100,000 shillings, a personalized trophy, and a Star Times 55-inch smart television set courtesy of sponsors Star Times Kenya.
I don't have words, especially for the Sports Journalists Association of Kenya in conjunction with Star Times for coming with this noble idea to encourage coaches, to motivate coaches to go to the next level. I understand the competition was very high, it was very stiff.
Ochieng becomes the 5th recipient of the coveted award after trailblazing Dennis Mwanza of the Kenya Lioness Rugby in November, NCPB men's handball team Brian Matthew in December, Strathmore women's hockey team head coach Meshak Senge in January, and Butali Warriors hockey team coach Zachary Aura in February.
That puts a cap on matters in the headlines this morning. We invite you to our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke, for further updates in regard to stories that are making headlines across all sectors, including business, sports, and the political scene. Now, when we come back, we're going to be taking you down to County 14. I'm talking about Embu County, that is going to be playing host to the Madaraka Day celebrations come tomorrow, with none other than Doreen Aranges. So do keep it right here. I'm Regina Manyara. I wish you a pleasant viewing ahead.
Enough with this stupidity. Go back to your house.
You can't tell me what I have to do. And you can't brush me away.
Alonso?
Alonso, how can you say that I'm lying to her face after all that we've lived through together?
That is not true.
You are a traitor, a liar, a coward.
Just say that you and I have to confront each other. Would you be capable of hurting me? Because I can guarantee you that I could never bring myself to hurt you.
I'm only doing my job, Oligario. Do what you have to do because I don't want to see anybody right now.
Well, you will have to see me. And tell me where you were and who you were with. Why did you come home in that state? Las Bandidas.
자, 그럼 우리 형사님 강 나오도록 기도합시다. 오, 주님, 형사님의 각을 붙잡고 있는 마귀들을 내쫓아주옵소서.
잘생겼는데 아주. 아니 근데 그냥 가는 건지 가서 인사도 드려봐요. 신부님, 저희 좀 도와주십시오. 한없이 연약한 어린 대학들입니다. 신부님, 제발 좀.
It's been a long way without you, my friend. Na 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 na. See you again.
Hey, Yawa. Come in. What kind of a leader are you? In fact, there is a guy who is called a Konyo. That guy, even his face, he looks like a thief. Unajua hata huwezi wana chika. Mwalimu want the rest. If that fellow called Gikonyo steps foot in this school again, ever, please ensure that let me know, okay? Nanjui?
Wewe unanijua? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Toka na usiku. Get out. Wewe nitakupararisha wewe. Nitakupararisha utaenda kwenye ukiwa mweusi.
In the land of opportunities, counting number 014, that is where we are pitching camp today and tomorrow. And I can tell you for sure, a different key person already put their ducks in the row in readiness for tomorrow. And that is what you're set to navel gaze in the next 14 minutes. Just looking at what this means for this county and this region by extension, seeing the fact that this is the first national celebration in Embu County. And for the same, I have created FaceTime with Paul Rotich, who is the Regional Commissioner, Eastern Region. Bwana RC, karibu sana to Good Morning Kenya, live on KBC Channel 1.
Asante sana. Yes.
Now, before we just get to what tomorrow is all about and how the county has prepared itself, and by extension, the region, we know Embu County, county number 14, with key crop production. Talk about tea, talk about macadamia, nuts, coffee. Just talk to us about the status of this kind of production in this county.
Good. First, let me say everyone is welcome for tomorrow's function. We are ready to host all the visitors and all the local population. Embu is one of the counties in Eastern Region. To be precise, we have 8 counties. And Embu is one of the counties which is largely agriculture based. We produce coffee, we produce tea, we are in livestock production, we are in macadamia and other traditional crops. Over the years, we've experienced a mix of fortunes for our farmers, especially those who does cash crop farming. I'm talking of tea and coffee. I think the farmers have experienced fluctuating experience, and at times they've faced discouragement because of the incomes they get from the crop farming. But currently, government is initiating deliberate policies to realize that farmers get returns from their investments. There have been cries about the pricing of macadamia.
Yes.
The local farmers are complaining that they are selling as low as 40 shillings during peak seasons. The national government, through the Ministry of Agriculture and county government, are partnering together to ensure that there is value addition. And by initiating value addition, it will make the crop profitable for farmers and also attract more people into the activity of farming macadamia.
I hear you.
And that means we shall have more people employed in the sector, more incomes, improved livelihood for our people. School-going children can be paid fees by their parents, and generally improve lives of the local farmers and the local communities.
Well said.
Likewise,
Well said.
to the tea and the coffee crops.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And you see, it was very important for me to ask that, because that's
that you're talking about, and as you mentioned earlier, they are the pride of this specific county, especially when it comes to exportation. So it was quite important for us to understand where we are in regards to that. Nonetheless, coming to the subject matter now, we're looking forward for the 60th Madaraka Day celebrations tomorrow, since we got internal self-rule in 1963. Perhaps just walk us down memory lane, the memories you have in regards to where we've come from as a country, where we are, and where we're headed in terms of the achievements, the milestones that we've made so far.
Let me first say that a big number of the current population in this country are post-independence population, including myself. If you look at the census, which we have dutifully done every 10 years, it tells you a lot about the population growth.
Yes.
Likewise, if you look at the rural Kenya currently, compared with the time when we started going to school and up to now, you can see tremendous change in terms of infrastructural improvement, talk of roads, talk of healthy facilities, talk of school infrastructure, and that tells you something about where we have come from and where we are headed to. We've seen the number of school children growing. We've seen the education institutions expanding, and you realize that the government is expanding infrastructure and social services facilities to ensure that we accommodate the growing population. Largely, we can say that the successive governments have done a lot for our population, and that is one thing that we should be proud of as a nation, and as the people of this country, and as Kenyans. I think that calls for us to support every initiative that government does towards improvement of the lifestyles of our people. And from where I sit, I want to say that I'm proud of being a Kenyan. And I'm proud of our government, the successive government that we didn't serve, and the ones that we've served. They have done us proud.
I hear you.
Yes.
But then the issue of disease burden, the question of poverty as well. These have been some of the key issues that successive governments have tried so much and so hard to deal with. Yes, you did say that a good number of us, we are post, that period. But from your track and from what you've seen so far, how have we been able to manage these two key issues, for instance?
Let me start by saying this. Upon independence, there were three enemies of development that the Sensational Paper number 10 of 1965 outlined. There was the ignorance, there was the illiteracy, and the poverty. Those were the three areas of focus by the independent government. And that does not change up to date. Of course, we have to appreciate that we have had a mixture of fortunes. We've given ourselves deadlines towards meeting those the deadlines for eradication of the three enemies of development. In some instances, we have missed, and for every experience that every government undergoes, there is always an attempt to come up with new policies of addressing the three phases. The universal healthcare coverage is geared towards addressing the issues of disease burden. The concept is that every Kenyan should access affordable healthcare, and that is a good move for us as a nation. Of course, we appreciate that we still have a big number of our brothers and sisters who still live below poverty line. But if you look at what we've been doing right from the KANU governments, the NA government, the PNU government, the Jubilee government, and now the UDA, you realize that there have been deliberate programs which have been put in place towards addressing this. For example, we've initiated the Women Enterprise Fund. At first, during the KANU period, there was the Rural Development Enterprise Fund. And then, come the NA government, we brought in other programs, the Women Enterprise Fund, the Youth Enterprise Fund, and so many other similar funds. Apart from that, The first initiative towards devolution came through the introduction of the CDF, where money was dispersed to the constituencies. And if you look at what CDF has done, you realize that they have invested heavily. Before, of course, devolution, they invested heavily in health and security and education. After devolution, the CDF pulled back because it is a devolved function. And all these programs are geared towards fighting the three enemies of development, which was
illiteracy and poverty.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've experienced quite a number of opportunities. We've made successes. We continue to aspire to do more.
I hear you.
The Vision 2030. If you look at the Vision 2030, it captures all the spheres of our society and all the programs that the government is intended to implement.
Well said, RC.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm hearing
You say is that yes, there could still be some underlying loopholes, but there's something to celebrate come tomorrow. When you look at the history and the milestones that we've marked so far, since 60 years, since 1963, I should say. Right. So now, these celebrations will be taking place in Embu County tomorrow. The first celebration of its kind in this specific county. Just talk to me about the preparations that have gone into making this day a success tomorrow.
Let me say that apart from Embu in Eastern region, Machakos and Meru have had an opportunity of hosting national celebrations.
Yes.
We want to appreciate the decision that was made to bring this celebration to Embu. We've been preparing over the last 6 months, and it has brought us to where we have reached. In the last 17 weeks, there was nothing actually on the ground. The real work of preparing the function began 17 weeks ago. We didn't have the stadium. We didn't have the nice roads that we have done. We didn't have refurbished government residential quarters that you have seen. So what this means is we've sacrificed a lot in terms of time, in terms of resources, in terms of planning, in terms of those who travel from far to ensure that all is well for this day. We've had three layers of committees actually who've participated in the whole exercise. We've had the National Steering Committee, which is chaired by our peers in Lyria, and the Technical Committee below it, and several other subcommittees that were tasked to ensure that all the sectors are done. So we appreciate everyone. I would not say I did it alone. It has been teamwork. It has been a multi-agency approach, and we are proud for what we have done, and we are ready for the event tomorrow.
Indeed.
Yes.
This mean, especially when you look at the development projects, not just in the county, but even with the neighboring other counties, like the region by extension. You just did talk about roads, you did talk about the stadium, the State Lodge, for instance, and quite a significant amount of money has been poured to this. What does it mean in terms of development in that regard?
Development aside, I want to say that the thought of the following national celebrations was a beautiful thing that came to us. At first, all celebrations were done in Nairobi. And over the years, we've seen counties hosting this celebration, except with Jamhuri Day. And every county that has hosted this celebration has seen an improvement in the infrastructure of their capitals. And this means that government is being brought to us. The celebration does not belong to the people of Nairobi. It belongs to us as Kenyans.
Yes.
And it is unifying us as a nation. We are feeling a sense of nationhood as a country. And that is a positive thing for this country. You can imagine the kind of investment that we've done and the changes that we have brought to Embu, for example. We had a trade exposition which lasted for a week. That ran from 26th to yesterday. It's brought a lot of opportunities for the young population. It's brought a lot of opportunities for businesses. It brought a lot of opportunities for employment. And it's good for us as a nation. Because what it means is that we are hosting today, the next celebration will be somewhere else. And we shall move there as a country.
I hear you.
And you can see the beauty of it, that it brings us together as a nation. Apart from improvement in the infrastructure, it is bringing us as a nation, the sense of nationhood can be felt by all of us. And that is the good thing for us.
Well said. Say that, just help me understand in this sense. What then would you say to some quarters who would still feel that to some extent this could just be using money from national government, yet we have monies in the county which could equally do that task? For instance, you've talked about the different development projects that counties would benefit as a result of having these celebrations. What would you say to this section of Kenyans who would think in such a manner?
When national days like this come to a county,
Yes.
we cannot segregate and say this is for county government and this is for national government.
Okay.
It's for Kenyans.
All right.
And the investment that is done to ensure that we have a successful shere, a successful celebration, is done by both national and county governments and agencies of government. Like, for example, if it is roads, there is Kura, there is Kena, there is Kera. All these agencies come together. Counties cannot perform functions which are not devolved. It is a responsibility of national government.
Okay.
And in areas where the functions are shared, both levels of government share the investment. So to us and to most Kenyans, we are not misusing money. When we build a road, when a stadium is put up, it's for public use. How does misappropriation or misuse of money comes? It will be left for the people of that particular place for use, for now and in the future. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Well said. So now we are expecting key
dignitaries, key important persons tomorrow. Who are these persons that you're expecting in readiness for tomorrow's preparation?
The most important dignitaries is me and you.
the Kenyan.
The Kenya. Yes. Of course, we shall be led by His Excellency the President, but he's a Kenyan. He's one of us.
Yes.
So this function is for us it's for us Kenyans. It's not for any other person. So every other person is a guest tomorrow.
A guest. Yes. It is our function as Kenyans. We are almost due for a break, Regional Commissioner, but before we get to do that, the exhibition took place last week, beginning on Friday when it was opened by the President, culminated yesterday on Tuesday, closed by the Deputy President. Just talk to me about this exhibition and of what significance was it for the sake of tomorrow. You must be aware that we are implementing the bottom-up economic development blueprint. And if you look at that exposition, you realize that we have a lot of talent. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of innovation. The exercise actually was an opportunity for us to learn. It was an opportunity for us to market. It was an opportunity for us to develop. Okay. And it was an opportunity for us to showcase what we can do as a people and what we can do as Kenyans. Yes. So we were impressed by the kind of the talent that can be displayed, that was displayed by our people, the young population. And it was an opportunity for those in business, those who are startups, and the people who are selling. And I think similar activities should accompany celebrations in future. Yeah, so that we feel what a person from Mombasa has, what a person from Kisumu has for us, and we can share, and we can sell. Yeah, and we can develop as a nation. Yes. Very quick breather, but as we do so, when we come back, I want us to look at how you're also leveraging on the theme for this celebration, looking at MSMEs, micro, small and medium enterprises. How are you leveraging on that for the benefit of the county and by extension the region? And also look at some of the key issues the region faces. Look at food security, look at insecurity in the region as well. So better ways and solutions to deal and handle that for the betterment of the region. We look at that after this breather, clearly indicating to you that there's still quite a lot to discuss after this short break, so don't go anywhere, stay with us.
سبحان الله والحمد لله لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر.
Mwenyezi Mungu anasema wala in kafartum, ikiwa mtakufuru neema za Allah, inna adhabi la shadid, hakika adhabu yangu ni nzito, hakuna mtatakayeweza kuihimili adhabu ya Allah tabaraka wa taala. Aqulu ma tasmaun.
Ikafikia kiwango ambacho na Aisha radhiallahu anha aliweza kumuuliza, hivi mbona wazidisha ibada kwa wingi sana wakati Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala amekujalia neema? Basi Mtume Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam alijibu kwa kuuliza, je, sipaswi kuwa mja mwenye kumshukuru Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ambaye ni Mola wangu?
I'm concerned she might be planning something against me.
I don't think so.
Unajifanya kuwa mwanihurumia kumbe hamna lolote.
Waenda kazini kweli ama waenda kukutana na Kate?
Wewe na Pili mna issue gani?
Stop being creepy. You're too cute for that.
Nafusikizeni. Komeni sana kunitia mdomoni kwenu kama mama yenu.
For celebration, and that is the reason I decided to come with my heart. Now you say rangi ya dhao.
Umesema unausanga mahindi?
Nausanga mahindi.
Unausanga wahindi ama unausanga mahindi? Tuache sisi si watoto yake.
Sasa wewe, kwanza wewe vile unakuwa wewe ni mzee hata kuliko hiyo mzee. Unaweza kuwa mtoto ya mzee kwa na wewe ni mzee.
Na nikisema nilitoka premature.
Ati?
Sema nilitoka premature masiku.
Sasa ukitoka premature ungekuwa hivyo uko kweli mzee. Sasa wewe ni mtoto mdogo wewe.
Mimi na tata yangu.
Wewe una miaka ngapi?
Mimi 16. Kuna mahali mimi nishaikosana na wewe ama umesikia ati nimeipa mahali pesa?
You are very romantic and professional.
Sina swali hili kwa bibi yangu.
Thank you very much for your valued company. We continue apace with our conversation, still holding court with the Eastern Regional Commissioner, that is Paul Rotich, and we are just navel-gazing on the preparations for Madaraka Day celebration, how the county and by extension the region has prepared itself for this specific celebrations. Before we took that break, Regional Commissioner, we were talking about the theme for this specific celebrations. Now, we all know that this particular regime has centered national celebrations around the 5 key thematic areas depending on the celebrations. For this particular one, we're talking about MSMEs, which is a key pillar on the 5 pillars of this government, micro, small and medium enterprises. Talk to me about how you are leveraging on that as a county and by extension as a region to achieve this.
Let me start first by saying during the exposition,
yes,
we hosted slightly more than 200 exhibitors. This is a huge number of exhibitors who came over. It had an impact in this in this small or big town.
Yeah.
And for 5 days that they were here, definitely there is an impact in the form of money circulation. And if you look at the opportunities that were there, it's massive. Yes. The opportunities were massive. What we want to encourage the business community is to make use of the opportunities that are being availed by government. I want to point out the issue of development of industrial parks. These are areas where value addition are intended to be carried out. And these are businesses which should exploit on that policy line that's being brought in by the government. Value addition means a lot to the business person. It means a lot to the country, especially for items meant for export. And at the initial time when we were started this interview, we talked about macadamia.
Yes.
And that is an opportunity now for macadamia farmers to now do value addition for their products. So it's a whole range of opportunities for the small and medium enterprises.
All right.
Yeah. Going back to the locals now, my appeal to them is we've had an opportunity, we've had a learning experience, we've had experiences, we have shared experiences with the rest of our business communities. It is a great moment for them to utilize the chances that have been created for them to further their aspirations. Yes.
Thank you. Now, I just want us to bit and look at one of the key pertinent issues, especially in this region. As a regional commissioner for the eastern region, not just specifically Embu County, there's been the concern of food insecurity. Embu is one of those counties that have been categorized in the normal drought phase by NDMA. Looking at Embu, I'm looking at Tharaka-Nithi, I'm looking at Meru as well. There's also Isiolo and Marsabit, just some of those counties. Talk to me about some of those solutions from just where you sit that perhaps you can proffer to deal with some of these issues ailing some of the counties within the region.
I think for the last 2 years, a huge part of the country has not been receiving adequate rainfall. For sure that has brought us to where we are in terms of food insecurity. For livestock rearing counties, they lost massively. The drought, and it will be very hard for them it will take time for them to recover. Similarly, for the farming community, crop farming, they have not done well as well. Of course, we blame this on failure of rains, and you realize that we are almost 100% reliant on rainfall in crop farming. It may not be 100% per se, but we are close there. I think apart from the irrigation, few irrigation projects that we have, we are heavily reliant on rain-fed agriculture. We've not exploited on irrigation element of it, and going by what all of us know, over a period of a few years, I think our government has been spending a lot in construction of dams as a sure way of ensuring that crop farming it ensures that we realize adequate food for all of us. So irrigation farming is a way out, and of course we need to be more sophisticated even in the event that we still using the rains for crop farming, I think we need to be a little bit sophisticated in terms of educating our farmers. And I think that over the years, I think that we've failed in that line. Next, has been wanting. And at some point, I think we lost it because we've given all attention to maize production. And it's like Kenyans, we believe only that maize is food. We've forgotten the traditional crops of sorghum, we've forgotten cassava, we've forgotten millet, and the cowpeas, and that range of traditional crops, which of course are drought resistant. So I think we need to go back there. Go back to extension, reform extension services, impress our farmers that maize alone is not food. We still have other varieties of crops.
Go to indigenous production.
Yes, and which are resistant to crop to drought.
Okay.
Of course, you realize that government is spending a fortune in procuring fertilizer for distribution to farmers. I think that is part of the sophistication I was talking about.
I hear you well
Yes,
said.
yes.
And I can tell you for sure there's quite a lot in the matters of insecurity as well as substance and drug abuse and the impact this might be having in the county and in the region. Nonetheless, you have to cap it at this particular point, Regional Commissioner. So I want us to do that by you telling Kenyans specifically what message would you be having for them in readiness for tomorrow. Now that you said this is an event for you and I as a Kenyan, we are the important dignitaries of this event. What message do you have for them very quickly as we wind down?
I want to say this. I've been in public service for 26 years. I've traversed this country serving Kenyans. We have a beautiful country. We have lovely people. For tomorrow, I want to welcome everyone to Embu. We are ready for you. And we've done good preparations, necessary preparation. You will feel at home tomorrow. And the people of Embu loves visitors. Karibu sana.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Valuable inputs into this discussion. Also just walking us down where we've come from, telling us what you can remember and what we need to be celebrating come tomorrow. And also, filling us in on the kind of preparation you have had to take to just ensure that these celebrations become a success tomorrow. We appreciate that. Thank you, Regional Commissioner. Paul Rotich, the Regional Commissioner, Eastern Region, has been my guest for the past 40 minutes, just looking at where we are as a country for the past 60 years since we commemorated internal self-rule and what this will mean for you and I as a Kenyan come tomorrow for the 60th Madaraka Day celebration. Good place to end this conversation, but Good Morning Kenya definitely does continue. Handing you over back to Victor in studio.
All right. Thank you so much, Doreen. Kenya at 60, of course. That is Paul Rotich and Doreen Range live from Embu, where we will be celebrating Madaraka Day tomorrow at the stadium there. And now we just have to get more from the security apparatus and even from the bosses and to tell us what we should expect tomorrow. Now, as he's put it, everything is in place. You are, if you're a Kenyan heading to other side of Embu, or if you're a resident of Embu, then you have all that it takes for you to celebrate Kenya at 60. That was Doreen Arange. All right about now, we are back here at the Broadcasting House. Let's proceed with what we have for you. I have got the local dailies, and of course, we'll be taking a look at what we have today on The Viewpoint. We want to take a look at what we have in terms of scrap metal in the country. The council, which was formed by the president, as per the constitution, is mandated to see the rise, to curb the rise of scrap metal dealership in Kenya. And what is the council doing as far as that is concerned? They have got the new chair in place. And so far, in Eastern Region alone, talk of Kajiado, talk of Machakos, number of vandalism that have been taking place as far as last week, and that is because of the transformers. We want to talk about vandalism and scrap metal. But right about now, how about we take a look at what we have on the traffic today? Okay, today I'm the traffic marshal. Let me give you what we have on the traffic today. This is a picture of Nairobi, and if you are coming right from Mlolongo, this is the superhighway that is coming all the way from Parliament Road. It's all clear. You can take a look at that. It's starting to get a bit red when you are approaching the Nyayo House. That is now toward the CBD. But from the entire stretch all the way from Mombasa Road, when it shows green, then it means it's completely clear if you're using the Mombasa Road. But it starts to get a bit messy when you're approaching Toyota Kenya and around the Nairobi West Hospital. That is now Nyayo National Stadium. It starts to get a bit messy here. And for those people using Mombasa Road, you know how sometimes it can get. And it's slowly moving towards the Nairobi CBD, coming to Capital Center. Actually, this outbound Capital Center, all the way moving towards Mlolongo and that side of Mombasa Road. Coming back to the side of South Sea, of course, we have got the issue of Mombasa Langata Road. If you are coming from Langata Road, then you're going to experience some kind of traffic around Nyayo National Stadium. Of course, you're going to use the Aerodrome Road. Approaching Lusaka Road is bumper to bumper. All right, there you have it, Lusaka Road. That's when you're coming to join Uhuru Highway is completely in red. You can use alternative routes there if you want to get to the CBD, as well as Bunyala Road. These are two notorious roads. Most of it are coming all the way from the industrial area. It's slightly clear all the way from the Kenya Institute of Highways and Building, that side. But when you're approaching roundabout towards the Highway Mall, it gets messy. And coming straight into the CBD, there you have what it takes. Now, Haile Selassie is moving clearly all to the other side of the CBD. It's moving clear. Coming to the CBD, Harambee Avenue is all clear. Around those avenues and those roads in the CBD, all of them are clear. But until you come towards Nairobi Cinema, where it's all starts to get a bit messy there, but you can always get an alternative route for you to get into the CBD. When you're approaching Nairobi Express, Nairobi CBD, and of course that side of Uhuru Park from Nyayo, coming toward this side of Haile Selassie, is pretty moving, just behind Parliament buildings. But when you approach Kenyatta Avenue towards All Saints Cathedral, it's also moving. But when you are now using the processional way towards sides of State House, it's clear until you get to around Dennis Pritt, which is slightly busy. But for those people who are using that side of the upmarket, the leafy suburb, how we call it, you are sorted. You can use an alternative route from the Nairobi. You can use the State House Road coming up towards the Arboretum. You come and use the Crawford, and of course when you're coming towards the Arboretum Road, it's also clear. You can come, move down towards State House Road, and then join Uhuru Highway if you have to use that particular route. But for those people who are using Riverside Drive, Olewenu, this is how it looks like. Riverside Drive, of course, around Prime Bank there, it's a bit, bumper to bumper, because when you're moving from Chiromo Mortuary, just exiting from Villa Rosa and Kempinski, it's clear. But when you're joining just at the mortuary there, that's the Chiromo Mortuary, it gets bumper to bumper as you approach towards Riverside Drive. But after that, it moves all the way until you get to the side of James Gishuru, I bet. Yes, Ibari Lounge there, and then to get to James Gishuru. For those who are going to be using that Convent Drive, it gets messy as you get to the ABC roundabout, coming down to James Gishuru. This is a link road for those people who are using the Westlands and Red Hill, all the way from Ruaka and those sides of Kiambu, coming to join ABC Place to use James Gishuru, then come towards Lavington Green, and of course coming at the issue to join Ngong Road. It gets messier as you join Ngong Road, but that is as far as that is concerned. So whichever part of the capital city you are in, Sisi Wajanja, you can always get an alternative route and come to the CBD. That is as far as traffic is concerned. Back to Good Morning Kenya. How about that? Okay. Let's take a break. And we come back, I'll be talking about what we have on the front page of a local dailies. Then we get straight into our discussion today. We want to talk about the issue of scrap metal dealership in the country. How can we avoid it? Much more when we come back after this break. Stay with us.
Berlin is calling. The footballing fraternity is taking note. Defending champions RB Leipzig have reached the DFB Pokal final for the third successive season after an emphatic 5-1 win over SC Freiburg.
Danny Olmo, there's no pressure on him, and he's found Nkunku! Ruthless!
Similarly, Eintracht Frankfurt are into the final of the DFB Cup following a 3-2 victory over VfB Stuttgart. The DFB Pokal hits a crescendo on Saturday, 3rd June at 9 p.m. when RB Leipzig will be up against Eintracht Frankfurt, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. Don't miss out on the unexpected delight.
It is Colomboigny against Bredlow, a battle Colomboigny was never going to lose.
KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Enough with this stupidity. Go back to your house.
You can't tell me what I have to do. And you can't brush me away. Alonso? Alonso, how can you say that I'm lying to her face after all that we've lived through together?
That is not true.
You are a traitor, a liar, a coward.
Just say that you and I have to confront each other. Would you be capable of hurting me? Because I can guarantee you that I could never bring myself to hurt you.
I'm only doing my job, Oligario. Do what you have to do because I don't want to see anybody right now.
Well, you will have to see me. And tell me where you were and who you were with. Why did you come home in that state?
Las bandidas.
Abantu ba Mintombi Yamore.
Your favorite Ekegusi station, Minto FM, is now at your doorstep. Enjoy the hottest Kisi music, informative and entertaining shows, and reliable news only on Minto FM. Tune in to Minto FM on 91.7 FM in Nyamira, Kisi, and its environs. Minto FM in Nyamira,
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now, let's take a look at what we have on the front page of our local dailies here. On the front page of the Standard, it's back to the streets. It's back to the streets. Azimio leaders say that they will not resume bipartisan talks because government is pushing the finance bill that will worsen cost of living, meaning demonstrations are likely next week. That is what's on the front page of the Standard newspaper. According to Azimio resolutions, 1, they have rejected the finance bill in total. Number 2, Mark Mwenje picked as a deputy minority whip of the National Assembly, replacing Sabina Chege. And finance bill as presently crafted must be withdrawn and replaced by a bill that appreciates Kenyans' suffering. Again, according to the resolution, Kenya Kwanza must agree that all Jubilee MPs who have quote-unquote defected have to resign and face by-election. And lastly, suspend bipartisan talks until the conditions are met. They met yesterday for the parliamentary group meeting, and they say now they are going to suspend that. Still on the front page, there are some 10 reasons why housing fund is unconstitutional. You can take that story, page 14 and 15, and you know it's been a thorny issue for the couple of weeks, and we are still waiting to see how it goes. KPLC blow as court holds 21 billion shillings tender. That's a story also fleshed out there for you on page 10. Continuing thereabout, John the Baptist, quote unquote, from Bungoma to meet DCI. Remember Jesus of Tongaren? I remember doing that story 5-6 years ago, Jesus of Tongaren. And he's been there. 2 weeks ago, he presented himself before the authorities and he was acquitted because they did not get any wrongdoing. Azimio reject new taxes, seeks by-election, part of their demand. They met yesterday at, for their parliamentary group meeting and made several remarks. Of course, the deadline they gave the president and Kenya Kwanza lapsed midnight yesternight, and so we are waiting to see the next course of action. And finally, Haji grilled over decision to pull high-profile graft cases. He faced the Senate and the MPs yesterday for his vetting. MPs grill NIS Director General nominee on suitability to head country's intelligence unit. Former DPP, that is Nordin Haji, says that he's cut for the job and defend his decisions on high-profile graft cases. We are waiting to see the report on how that will go. Let me just bring in my guest and get his voice on this one. It's back to the streets. Francis, good morning.
Good morning.
As usual, we usually get to do this review, and now I throw it back to you. It's back to the streets. What do you make of this?
I don't think the streets are the solutions to the challenges facing Kenyans. So both teams need to sit down and agree, both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, rather than going back to the streets.
Yes.
Because the streets are not the solution to the cost of living.
Azimio says that Kenya Kwanza is not honest in the talks.
Okay, I'm sure they have rushed to conclude that Kenya Kwanza is not honest. Because if they were not honest, they could not have extended their hands to the negotiations. So I believe Kenya Kwanza has the best interest for the country and the talks that are ongoing. So Azimio should not harden. Yeah.
Okay. That's on the front page of the Standard. What's on the front page of the People Daily here? The People Daily says that how matatu tax will hurt Kenyans. How matatu tax will hurt Kenyans. Now, it says that advanced tax on passenger vehicles will raise cost of doing business for PSVs, taxis and trucks. This will hurt workers too, as they will pay more if finance bill is passed. Azimio pledges to fight against the proposals. This is the story on the front page of the People Daily. Again, Haji Thuge vetted for NIS and Central Bank jobs. Kamau Thuge was facing the Finance Committee of the National Assembly, while Haji was at the County Hall, where he also faced the Parliamentary Vetting Committee, and now they are waiting their report. There is a question here that has been making headlines for a couple of days now. US kicks up storm after Museveni signs law banning LGBT ties. It's now a law and against Ugandan constitution to actually get engaged in anything. And we know once a law is passed, it's passed. And now US says that they are going to revisit. Your take on that?
My take is Uganda is a country that has its own laws, and I'm sure if they have passed bill, anti-LGBT bill,
yes,
it should be implemented. I don't see any reason why Western forces should force.
They are big brothers. They can give us sanctions, arms embargo, all manner of things, and restrict even travel from different countries. For example, Uganda is going to the US, donors and donations and what have you. Don't you think Uganda is going to suffer if the big brother says we are going to revisit?
Uganda will suffer, but I don't think that is the best approach that our big brother should take, because as an independent country that has self-governance, I believe they should be allowed to do their stuff without interference. Yeah.
Okay. So we've been talking about that issue of Madaraka Day, and all set for first Madaraka Day fit under President William Ruto. That will be taking place tomorrow in Embu. And that is what's there on the front page. Okay, on the front page of the Star newspaper, Raila wants tax bill out, makes fresh demands. Raila wants tax bill, makes fresh demands. Sabina Chege kicked out. Mark Mwenje named deputy minority whip for Azimio. That happened yesterday during the parliamentary group meeting, yesterday with Azimio leaders. That is also fleshed out there for you on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Haji refuses to reveal net worth. Thuge worth 450 million shillings. That is Engineer Kamau Thuge. Over 111,000 teachers required to address shortage. That's according to TSC. The government needs to recruit more than 111,000 teachers to bridge the current tutors shortage that has compromised the quality of education in public schools. It has been an issue. And of course, if you remember the rollout of JSS, NAT and even some bodies said that the only and the biggest problem they have is lack of teachers and even classrooms. What do you make of this? 111,000 teachers.
1,100,000
teachers.
11,000 teachers.
Yes, to bridge the deficit.
I believe the government, the Kenya Kwanza government, has already shown that they are willing to support. And recently, if you may recall, around 36,000 teachers were hired. I'm sure the continuous employment of these teachers will bridge the gap and will get there. Also, there was a review in the manner in which the new curriculum is being put in place.
Yes.
Whereby the grade 6 and grade 7 students are still allowed to be in
under the
primary
Presidential
school.
Working Task Force on Education.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that is taking place, and I'm sure we'll get there. Even Rome was not built in a day.
Exactly. Here we have it. Raila wants tax bill out, makes fresh demands. What do you make of this? I mean, you are a taxpayer, and at the end of the day, the issue of raising the tax and the 3% debate here and there, I don't know what's your take on this. Is it going to affect the informal sector, like the scrap metal society and even the dealers there?
Actually, it will affect, but in a positive way.
How?
Because the number of employment, this initiative, the 3% deduction, actually, which is a saving, it's not a tax. The impact that will be in place, there will be so many employment. Let us look at it in a positivity way, rather than looking at it in a negativity way. The whole tax bill, okay, there are deliberations and everyone is allowed to bring his views, and the same will go to the public. And I am sure the team that came up with that tax bill, with the bill, had consulted widely, because each and every time you find yourself in a hole, you don't dig the hole deeper. You look for ways of getting out of the hole. Remember when the new regime came in place, there were so many issues. We have had challenges with our huge loans that we have been taking as a country. Rather than continuing in that trajectory of borrowing, why don't we look into how, as a country, we can be self-reliant? And I'm sure there are good things into that bill.
Yeah.
And a lot of sensitization is required, because many people think that the 3% is a tax, which is not. Actually, it's a contribution, and that contribution is a saving. Because if you will not get a house, that money will be there, and you are entitled to it because it's your money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Let me get into this. According to Azimio resolutions they had yesterday, they resolved that one, to remove Sabina Chege as deputy minority whip. She would be replaced by Embakasi MP Mark Mwenje. They also said that they reject the Finance Bill 2023 in total. Once Finance Bill withdrawn from Parliament, they also want a new bill that appreciates the suffering of Kenyans to be tabled. They also want Azimio MPs to sign public pledge to oppose bill. Last but not least, Azimio will do everything possible to protect affiliate parties. And finally, Jubilee MPs who have defected should resign and face fresh mandate as voters and face the electorate. That is what's there on the front page of the Star newspaper. And finally, big standoff over tax law. Big standoff over tax law is mostly, everything is about tax here. Big standoff over tax law. Members of public service sector unions participate in a processional. They had their day in for the public participation that will actually was extended until tomorrow. And a fresh standoff now looms today between Raila Odinga's Azimio la Umoja and President William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza after a midnight ultimatum for the government to withdraw finance bill, which they say is laden with punitive proposals, lapsed last night. They did not give any course of action after the expiry of their ultimatum, so we are waiting to see what is the next course of action. Are they going to announce for another rounds of mandamano? Let me not preempt. Haji, I have no apologies. Haji taken to task over withdrawal of court cases. I have no apologies. He said that is when he was facing the vetting committee yesterday in Parliament. That is as far as the newspaper is concerned. And finally, showdown looms as Azimio talk staff on finance bill, Jubilee crisis. We're waiting to get the next course of action, of course, and War Council to fight for Jubilee's soul has now been formed. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta was made one of the party's bank signatories during the recent Special National Delegates Conference. And now we have got a couple of people who've been formed. You can take a look at that, the entire list. We have got that team led by President Uhuru Kenyatta, who remains to be the party leader, Jeremiah Kioni, Secretary General, David Murathe, Vice Chairman, etc., etc., etc. So go ahead and grab your favorite copy for much and more. And of course, read for yourself. I've just given you a snippet of what's there on the local dailies. And Ununue Gazeti, ujisome. Let's take a break. When we come back, we are getting into the real discussion here. It's all about scrap metal in the country. All right? Come back. So let's get into our today's discussion on the viewpoint. We want to talk about the issue of scrap metal in the country, scrapping the metal vandals. I am so sure that in one way or another you have come across a particular space or somewhere where you've experienced vandalism, more so transformers, or even the road signs. Have you ever experienced that? That is a discussion we are going to have today. There is a council that is formed under the Ministry of Investment, Trade, and chaired by gentleman Francis Mugo, who is the chairman of the Scrap Metal Council in the country. Once again, welcome to the program now.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's the mandate of the Scrap Metal Council?
Actually, Scrap Metal Council is a parastatal. It's a body corporate established by the Act of Parliament, being the Scrap Metal Act of 2015. And the mandate of the council is to advise the cabinet secretary on matters and measures, mechanism for regulating the whole scrap metal industry. That is a major. Again, advice on measures, mechanism to protect public interest against vandalism, theft of utility and private property. And also advice on methods of attracting investors, on utilization of the excess scrap metal that we have in the country, licensing of these scrap metal dealers. So actually the whole mandate entirely is to advise the cabinet secretary on the general management of the scrap metal industry in the country.
That is CS Moses Kuria.
Yeah, who is a cabinet secretary for Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. Yeah.
Chair, last week you had a presser which was also covered by KBC. You said that vandalism is on the rise, and the place which is worst affected is part of Eastern, talk of Machakos and Kajiado counties. 43 transformers, to be exact, have so far been vandalized in that particular region. That does worry you as a council?
Yeah, it worries us as a council, and that's why we even call the presser. And we have been working closely with the multi-agency Ministry of Energy, that is PS, Washira, the CS for that ministry, and also we are in talks with associations, that's scrap metal associations, to see how we can arrest the situation before it goes out of hands. Yeah.
But much as you are also trying to arrest the situation, I'm also informed that there are internal wrangles amongst the council members.
Actually, at the moment, there is no any wrangle in the council. That one I can confirm. The council is working well, we are cooperating well, and we are doing all what we can to make sure that we do our best and we arrest the situation before it gets out of the hands. At the same time, do as what we are mandated to do by the Act. Yeah.
But then, again, does it really mean that the council itself doesn't have enough grip and power to streamline and curtail and stop the trade of scrap metal in the country, because it's affecting the economy in one way or another?
Actually, the Scrap Metal Council, as I began by saying, is a parastatal. It is a young parastatal. It was established by the Act of Parliament in 2015. Operationalization started in 2020. And a lot has been achieved, and we are still in the trajectory to make sure that we are able to achieve on our mandate as a council, to curb the vandalism that is taking place in the country, and also sensitize the members of the public on the importance of making sure that we preserve this infrastructure that is in place.
How big is the scrap metal business? What is the general economic outlook?
Actually, scrap metal industry is one of the industry that is a driver of the economy, because on a yearly basis, 300 metric tons of scrap is consumed by our steel millers in the country. Actually, we have 18 steel millers in the country, and these millers use about 84% of the scrap in their operations. And this industry has employed close to 1 million people, both directly and indirectly. At the same time, all these constructions that you are seeing taking place, constructions of the roads, construction of the houses, the metals that is being used is from our local industry, the steel mills. And the raw material for those metals is a scrap that is collected. So actually, it's a big industry. Only that the industry just needs some small regulations, then it will do well.
And that's now where you come in, because when you talk about it being a big industry, employing over around 1 million people, 17 industry doing the milling in the country, but when it's not completely regularized, don't you see there's some loopholes that is going to lead to just unscrupulous dealers running amok in the country, Chair?
Yeah, if it is not well regulated I'm sure, actually, not only scrap metal, anything that is not well regulated, despite it having importance, it slides back to the negativity aspect. And that's why we are coming in, and we want to make sure each and every dealer, each and every person, each and every player within the industry is within our regulatory framework.
Okay, so let's talk about the issue of streamlining the industry itself, because at the end of the day, you're just a few months into the office when you're appointed. By the way, congratulations. This is your live TV interview. Once you were appointed, was it in February?
Yeah, it was in February.
In February. So you're 3 months old into the office. But what are some of the challenges that so far you've met in that council under the Ministry of Trade and Investment that you really want to get off the way to streamline that council?
Okay, when I came in February, actually I found so many things not working. At first there was no chair, and the council had remained without a chair for some time. At the same time, when I look at the Act, there are some gaps that are there in the Act. And one of the gaps is the drafters of the Act left some gaps. I don't know whether it was intentional or not, because the council cannot employ. The council gets its secretariat from the Ministry of Industrialization. So even in terms of expansion, we have challenges. If we want to open regional offices, if we want to hire staff, deploy them to various places so that they can at least work closely with the other multi-agency in curbing the vandalism that is taking place. The general regulations has been an issue. So when I came in, that is one of the areas that I realized there was a problem. I also realized that there was a bill that was already in Parliament.
Yes.
The bill that was in Parliament was a miscellaneous amendment.
Thank you. Just hold on that. Just hold on that, because I want you to tell me some of the issues and challenges that you're facing, and you're getting to the second position. We are talking about today's trade, and your boss is at the Safari Park leading the Kenya International Investment Conference, which Kenya is hosting, the 3rd conference. I'm joined by my colleague O'Brien Kimani, who is steering that particular debate there. O'Brien, good morning. The 3rd day and the final one for this particular conference. What should we expect today now that it's coming to a close?
Victor, hello. Many thanks indeed for joining us this morning from the Safari Park Hotel. This is where we have been camping for the last 2 days. Today is the 3rd and final day of the 3rd Kenya International Investment Conference, which has been taking place here at the Safari Park, bringing in thousands of delegates from around Africa and the world at large. More than 35 trade ministers from around Africa also in Kenya to discuss ways of enhancing trade through the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. And so today we're expecting to hear what kind of deliberations have come out of that meeting, and of course how they plan to drive intra-Africa trade going forward. And one of the conversations here has been how to boost intra-Africa trade, bearing in mind that at 17% it is one of the lowest in the world. And as stakeholders here have been talking about how to push this number to about 40% by the year 2025. Of course, this is a long shot, but of course, with proper political will, this is going to be achieved. Yesterday, we had a lot of conversations, even how to deepen trade through innovation and, of course, the digital space. And this is also another conversation that will be happening today. But day 3 today, we just now joined by the Kenivest Managing Director or Acting CEO. This is June Chepkemei. She's going to run us through the program, and of course a recap of what happened yesterday and what we should expect today going forward. Thank you very much, June. I know it has been hectic for you, but congratulations, you and your team. You have really done very well in organizing this meeting. I want to hear first of all from you, the last 2 days, what has been your take home?
O'Brien, one of the key take homes is that the African heads of state are ready to open up the market. We have the political goodwill, and the policy makers, who are the trade ministers and their principal secretaries, have been given the go-ahead to begin to think of African economic integration. We've been challenged to trade among ourselves the way we used to do before civilization, and now we are ready to run. We are going to work on the infrastructure to connect the continent. We're going to work on payments to ensure that we're able to have seamless payments, and we are going to open up the 1.3 billion people market in the continent. So we want Africans to trade with Africans. Now, that is the cue that we got in day one before the ministers retreated. Day two, we retreated back home as a country, and we asked ourselves, Kenya, are you ready for this? You are the gateway to the continent. Are you ready? So how then do we unlock the potential of the continent? And we have different sessions looking at areas that will unlock this. We started off with conversation with the private sector. We went straight to have discussions on sector specific. One of them was digital trade, and we were asking ourselves, we are known as a country that has positioned itself in terms of digital, and then how do we leverage this and leapfrog this digital trade conversation? We had that. Now, the aspects of water and the leveraging on digital trade to ensure access to water was also discussed. We had a session where we are looking at matters climate change and some of the opportunities that can come as a result of that. And of course, by end of day yesterday, we were ready as a country to have some takeouts, to have some action points to ensure that we take a lead in the Africa integration discussion.
And yesterday, of course, during the high-level meeting or dialogue with the private sector, it came out very well that, as a country, Kenya, has so many opportunities, and the principal secretary in charge of State Department for Investment Promotion was talking about 300 bankable projects. So, how do we plan to woo more investors to come and take up those bankable projects?
Great, we have bankable projects, and we also learned yesterday that the investors are within country. The Pareto principle of 20-80. 20 are the foreigners, 80 are already in the country. So going forward, we are going to focus on the 80 to ensure that they have awareness of the opportunities that are available, and we are also going to talk to them to understand exactly where they want to invest and how they want to invest for us to now package. As Ken Invest, we are taking a step back to listen to the investor and ensure that we have the product that is market fit. Following that, every month we will have dialogues. We are going to launch a program. We're calling it Invest 254 Arena. This is an arena that runs every month, and we are exposing all the opportunities to the investors and supporting them to launch those investments. So that's what we are going to do going forward. We are also taking it online through our Pasha platform to also ensure that anybody looking to invest in the country is a button away.
It's a button away. And of course, investors yesterday also raised the concerns, and they say that it is high time we rolled out one-stop shops in almost all 3 counties in Kenya. Is this a conversation that you are likely to pick up?
Great. So we already have a functional one-stop at Kenya Investment Authority, and an entire floor, and we are also taking it online. But going forward, if you notice, today's program is focusing on the counties as the new frontiers of investment. We want to encourage each county government to have an investment hub within the county that now speaks or connects to the national investment hub, which is Kenya Investment Authority. Now, in each of those hubs, we have the one-stop center to enable us have seamless facilitation of investors between the national government and the county government. Some counties like Kakamega are already ahead. Counties like Machakos, counties like Makueni are already ahead, and they already have it. So it makes it easier for us to connect and even support the investors as we facilitate them.
And the other thing is, of course, how to open up counties for investment through KIPES. And this is one of the flagship projects of the ministry. So how do you think these conversations here will help in the development of KIPES?
O'Brien, let me begin by saying that for a long time as a country, we've been selling concepts, wishes, and ideas. We are sitting back to actually sell bankable solutions, an actual product that an investor can put their money in, that we can clearly demonstrate the ROI, we can clearly demonstrate the opportunity, and we are able to show the investor the how. Now, KIPES is one such great product. That's the County Integrated Industrial Parks, where we will have centers that investors can come and invest. For instance, if you want to invest in, let's say, edible oil, we're able to send you to an industrial park in Bungoma or in Kilifi. If you want to invest in coffee, we're able to send you to an industrial park in the coffee growing areas of this country. So the county integrated industrial parks are going to be a key driver to the attainment of the investment target that we have. And most importantly, they will now offer that bankable solution that we are looking for. And the conversation this afternoon looks at now bringing together the governors and all the economic blocks to have a conversation on the how. What has been decided, we are clear on that. We are now thinking of the how.
And of course, now coming to day 3, of course, we can see that the extraordinary meeting of the Council of Ministers, adoption of the ACTFA in implementation matrix and roadmap. What should we look forward for from this?
We expect the ministers from the 55 African countries to now share with us their roadmap, basically their work plan, to tell us, based on the conversation we've had, we've listened to the private sector, we've sat down as governments, and we've come up with this plan to ensure that we quickly begin to implement the one African market. So that's the expectation from Windsor today. Yes.
Very good. And, now coming back here to Safari Park, I can see the first conversation will be about entrepreneurship dialogue. Would you want to shed more light on that?
Yes, O'Brien. One of the greatest investment that we can have or sell as a country is existing opportunities, existing enterprises. We want to tell our entrepreneurs that, listen, package your investment of your business in a way that you can attract co-investment, you can attract mergers, you can attract even acquisitions. And for us, our enterprises, we are known as an entrepreneurial country. Our enterprises are the low-hanging fruits. If we can build them to attract FDI, then we are able to quickly turn around the investment targets that we want. And therefore, Kenya Development Corporation today is leading that conversation because they are the government arm of co-investment. So you can either invest with us or invest in us. That's the conversation we're going to have this morning.
And of course, something else is the country-specific forum. What exactly are we talking about here?
So you remember we've had a bit of back and forth with the Chinese traders in the country, and so they've come to us and said, hey, listen, we realize that there is a challenge. Why can't we have a conversation? And this conversation is going to be China versus Kenya. We are the Chinese traders, or rather the Chinese entrepreneurs and Kenyan entrepreneurs, led by Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, to then ask ourselves, what do we need to do to ensure that we are more of partners and less of competitors? That's the conversation that the Kenya-Chinese Forum will have. The Brazilian one, they're still trying to understand our market, and they want to sit with the entrepreneurs to know what are the opportunities, how can we do business together, how then do we progress, and really how do we get into the continent of Africa through our entrepreneurs.
Very good. And before I let you go now, I can see also there will be another very interesting conversation here. It's called Wekeza Dada. This is a forum on women in trade and investment. Shed more light on this.
So today we are launching Wekeza Dada initiative. This is an initiative targeted at women in trade and investment. We have been, or rather research has shown that before an investor walks into the country, they start by trading. So we would like to now again support our traders to be able to move from trading to investment. And so this initiative will seek to capacity build them, will seek to unlock the markets for them, will seek to position them for investment, will seek to link them with the great mentors, and most importantly, open opportunities for financing. And this is targeted at women in trade and investment. This is what Wekeza Dada is all about.
Very good. June, you had been having hectic 2 days. Today is going to be the third day, and of course we can take this opportunity to wish you and the entire Kenivest team all the best in the execution of the hours that are remaining.
Thank you very much. I wouldn't have done this had it been for the KBC team that has been camping at Ken Invest for the past couple of weeks to just help us walk through the program and help us refine the conversation. And this is a great partnership that we look forward to carrying on as we progress. Thank you very much.
Very good indeed. Thank you very much and all the best. Asante sana. Well, June Chepkemei is the acting CEO of Kenya Investment Authority, joining us this morning to help us put into perspective what we expect on this final day of the KICO conference and, of course, the reflections of the last 2 days. Remember, we are here, and of course, we'll be tracking all the conversation that will be taking place here. And we're also keeping an eye on what is happening at the Windsor, where trade ministers from more than 35 countries, African countries, are meeting to come up with an implementation matrix of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. That is a conversation that we are keeping tabs here. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Back to you in Broadcasting House, Victor Olo.
All right, thank you so much, O'Brien Kimani there from the Safari Park Hotel, giving us an overview on what you should expect on that particular conference on being on the third day. Let's take a break. We'll be continuing shortly after this.
I'm concerned she might be planning something against me.
I don't think so.
Unajifanya kuwa mwanihurumia kumbe hamna lolote.
Waenda kazini kweli ama waenda kukutana na Kate?
Wewe na Pili mna issue gani?
Stop being creepy. You're too cute for that.
Nafusikizeni. Komeni sana kunisha mdomoni kwenu kama mama yenu.
Sundowner Sunset Date goes county, this time to the land of opportunities. All roads lead to Embu County. Sundowner will be hosted live from the iconic Isaac Walton Inn with their grand collabo. Catherine Donye and John Obongo Jr., the Wicked Weekend Man, and thereafter
I'm concerned she might be planning something against me.
I don't think so.
Unajifanya kuwa mwanihurumia kumbe hamna lolote.
Waenda kazini kweli ama waenda kukutana na Kate?
Wewe na Pili mna issue gani?
Stop being creepy. You're too cute for that.
Nafusikizeni. Komeni sana kunisha mdomoni kwenu kama mama yenu.
Sundowner Sunset Date goes county, this time to the land of opportunities. All roads lead to Embu County. Sundowner will be hosted live from the iconic Isaac Walton Inn with their grand collabo. Catherine Donye and John Obongo Jr., the Wicked Weekend Man, and thereafter John Karani JK will keep you on your feet with hits from the 80s and 90s till late.
Good morning, Mr. Walker.
There will be country music performances by Carrie B, karaoke sessions with Kid Karaoke, and much more fun. No dull moment when Sundowner fans get together. Sundowner Sunset Date Embu County Edition, proudly brought to you by KBC English Service and the Kenya Tourism Board on 3rd June 2023 at the Isaac Walton Inn, starting at 2 p.m. Entry 500 shillings at the gate. Tembea Kenya, Tembea Embu.
And welcome back. You're still watching Good Morning Kenya. This is A Viewpoint. And I'm still in the studio with Francis Mugo, who is the chairman of the Scrap Metal Council under the Ministry of Investment and Trade, that is under the CS Moses Kuria. So before we took a break and before we even went to Safari Park, we are talking about the issue of the challenges that you're facing as a council. Because when you see an upsurge of scrap metal dealership in the country, we've had so many court cases after court cases. Some of them have not been resolved yet, and I'm so sure your plate is full. What are some of these challenges, Chair?
As I was explaining, when I came in, I found some challenges existing. One of the challenges is the gaps in the Act, and which is limiting the council from performing its core mandate. And there were amendments that were in Parliament, which were filed as a miscellaneous amendment. And actually, the solutions that we would want as a council for us to be able to work effectively are not contained, cannot be resolved in a miscellaneous amendment. So after some deliberations with the ministry, we resolved that that particular amendment that was miscellaneous, there was no need, because miscellaneous cures only grammatical errors. Yeah. So we withdrew the miscellaneous
When was that?
Amendment. That was sometimes in March.
Yes.
And we are introducing a substantive amendment that will see to cure all the gaps that exist.
But why has it been so hard to implement the amendment, the Act of 2015, the Scrap Metal Act of 2015?
Scrap Metal Act of 2015, with the challenges that it has, we are doing our best to make sure that we implement it as we fast track.
Is it because it was presented as a miscellaneous?
No, the Scrap Metal Act 2015, which we would want to amend, is still in place.
All right.
And that is what we are seeing to implementing fully. And we are also working towards making sure that before we amend the entire Act to introduce, to bridge the gaps that exist in the Act, we can see what best can we get from the 2015 Act. And one of the things that we are looking towards making sure that we implement is gazetting of inspectors. We will be gazetting inspectors, and it's in the Act. So these inspectors are officers, technical officers from the Ministry of Industry. We will gazette them as our inspectors, as scrap metal inspectors, and we will disperse them across the country, at least to assist us monitor the situation and assist in vetting of these dealers, assist in curbing the vandalism that is there, so that they can also report to us. And the Act has also given them arresting and prosecutorial powers. So I look forward.
Will that give the council the powers to prosecute and arrest?
Yeah.
All the inspectors?
The inspectors who represent the council. They are inspectors of the council. So once we gazette these inspectors, they will have the powers to access any yard, any scrap metal yard, access the whole industry, and be able to advise us. At the same time, they will be our key people on the ground.
All right, but Chair, even as we wait for that to be implemented, I mean, it's a legal process. But what are you still doing right now as a council to stop the whole issue of scrap metal dealership and vandalism across the country?
What we are doing as a council, we are working with other multi-agencies. That is the National Police Service, the KRA, and even officers from the Ministry of Energy. So what we are doing, since we do not have the capacity, we have expanded our base to work with the multi-agency to arrest the situation. And that's why you can see most of the arrests which have been done by officers from the Ministry of Energy. And at the same time, we are in consultation with the Inspector General of Police and Commissioner General of KRA. Once a person is arrested and is charged in court, we are able to get the report, so that even from where we sit as a council, we can initiate our own internal
But Chair, some of these people are alleged to be quote-unquote big people. They get arrested, they have a conglomerate of business chains around the country. They'll be arrested, they'll be charged some few thousand shillings, and they continue with the illicit trade, Chair.
We have not had such kind of information. But one thing I can promise you, and I can promise Kenyans, if a person is arrested and is charged in court, the due process of the law will follow. The challenge that we have had, most of these people are being charged, not putting in consideration the penalties that are there prescribed in the Scrap Metal Act. So they have been charged using other laws. But the Scrap Metal Act has very stiff penalties. And that is what we are also sensitizing members of the public, sensitizing the other agency, the multi-agency, to make sure that they use the right, they prefer the right charges as per the Scrap Metal Act of 2015. And I'm sure that will deter.
Are you worried that we have got our porous borders? The scrap metal is being taken from this country and exported to our other foreign nations across our neighbors, name withheld, of course. Namanga being one of the porous borders?
We have information that unscrupulous dealers have been smuggling scrap out of the country illegally through the Namanga border, the Lunga border, and the Busia border. So what we are doing at the council, we are working with the agencies that man our borders. That is the police and KRA, to make sure we are able to arrest these people and these people are charged. Because actually smuggling scrap out of the country, exportation of scrap out of country is illegal. It's not allowed unless where there are exemptions. And the exemptions are what cannot be consumed in the country. Because at the same time, we would want to protect our local industry. Because even if it's not easy for you to get scrap from other countries. So we must protect what we have as a country. And we are very serious on this. And very soon heads will start rolling.
Okay. There was a representation. Now, of course, it was a case to have a bill to amend that 2015, the scrap metal of 2015, to remove some trade unions like COFEC and et cetera, from the council. What is the implementation? What's the progress so far?
As I told you, what was presented contained all that, but it was a miscellaneous amendment. It couldn't have cured what we would want to cure. We want to cure gaps in a substantive way. So at the same time, the amendment faced a lot of backlash from the council and from the public, because the due process of the law was not followed. There was no public participation. That's why even as a chair...
that means that you have infighting when you have got, backlash from the council chair.
That is then.
Not now?
Not now.
Okay.
That was then. So when I came in, the best thing to do was to make sure that we bring each and everybody on board. Because I wouldn't want us to introduce an amendment that is not being received well by the players in the industry. So we will have to make sure that everybody contributes. Because the laws will affect the players in the industry. So what we are doing, we want to make sure that first, the amendment, whatever is contained in the amendment is approved by the council. At the same time, we get views from the dealers, from the players in the industry. Then we can introduce it in parliament. And once we do that, I believe we are going to run and achieve.
Chair, you are leading a team of around 717 dealers countrywide. From the initial number of 91, since the government lifted the ban on the trade, this is a huge number. And you can imagine if it's not well controlled and aligned. I'm just trying to imagine the kind of unscrupulous traders and people running around as traders, the effect that you will have in our society, Chair. 717 is a big number.
717, from where I see it as a chair, is not a big number. We have so many people doing scrap metal and they are not registered. And these are some of the people whom we want to bring into our regulatory framework. Because 717 people, that is less than 1,000. And as I began by saying, the industry has employed close to over 1 million people. So 717 is a very small number. There are so many people who are doing scrap metal business in the country without license. And what we are doing, and they are being arrested, what we are doing, we want to make sure each and everybody who is in this industry is regulated. We can know where he gets his scrap metal from, where he sells the metal too. And we are also calling upon these millers, the steel millers, not to receive scrap from anybody who is not registered.
How will somebody know? Accreditation?
No.
How do you identify a licensed scrap metal dealer?
We issue them with the license.
Okay.
And this license, even if there are very many fake licenses in circulation, we are also aware.
Yeah.
So these licenses can be verified. There is a code that these people can send to the council, and we can verify whether that license is genuine or not. So what we are doing as a council, we are sensitizing members of the public. Don't do business with a person who is not does not have a license. At the same time, we are calling on government agencies, because there are also other government agencies that once they want to dispose scrap, scrap metal, what they have been doing, they just invoke the Public Procurement and Disposal Act of 2015, and they proceed and dispose without first considering that there is a council that is mandated to regulate the whole industry. And sometimes it brings a challenge, because most of this scrap that is being disposed by the government, by state agencies, county government, by parastatals, it is government scrap. So once it is disposed, it goes to the miller. When we are having raids in these millers and we are doing our inspections in these millers, we find government scrap. Then we start asking questions: how did this?
This is done by the government state agencies.
Yeah, that is what. That's what was being done. I believe also these state agencies didn't understand that there existed a council that regulates the industry. So these are steps that we are taking, and we are also in consultation with all other agencies. And Honorable Moses Kuria has been he has really offered us a lot of support in making sure that this council operates and it achieves on its mandate. So there is a lot that we are doing. And in the coming days, I'm sure this will be one of the best industries.
43 transformers vandalized in Machakos and Kajiado counties. This is a worrying trend, Chair.
Yeah, it is a worrying trend. There has been an upsurge. That one I can confirm. There has been an upsurge in vandalism, not only in transformers.
This is just, but I mean, a statistic of what's happening across the country.
Road signs are being vandalized every day. So what we are doing as a council, we are working with the multi-agency. And once we are informed that this person has been found or is being involved in misconduct, what do? We first, if he's within our regulatory framework, we cancel the license and we recommend prosecution. And that is what we have been doing. We have been cancelling licenses. At the same time, if a person is involved in the misconduct and he's not within our regulatory framework, we check into the act. Then we recommend, because there are also charges for a person who does that. So, but why should a person vandalize something like a transformer? It's very unfortunate, because I wouldn't want the dealers to look into it in that perspective. There is a lot of scrap that is available in the country. Why should you vandalize a transformer? At the same time, I'm asking the Ministry of Energy. We still have some rogue people within Kenya Power, within the ministry. Because honestly, how does a scrap metal dealer vandalize a transformer that is live, that has live electricity connectivity?
I bet because it has
and this
some
is
weight,
a person.
Those things are weighed in kilos.
This is a person who is not informed. This is a person who is completely not informed on matters electricity. So what does it tell us? There are still people within the ministry who are very rogue. These are the people who are vandalizing.
That is one of the biggest
then
challenges
they sell
you're facing, Chair, because
to the
when you talk of state agencies, you have got some rogue, officers and people in the ministry. That takes me to the next question. Do we have a situation where guns have been drawn and put on the table during your council meetings?
From when I came in, I've never experienced such. I would want to confirm
Then where's
that.
the problem?
I would want to confirm that. I've never experienced such. I also read it in the newspaper just like you or anybody else. Maybe it was then, but from when I came in, I've never experienced such. And each and every time I call the council for deliberation, they have been very supportive. Very, very supportive. That one I can confirm in making sure that we are able to achieve on our mandate. So, a lot is happening.
Yeah.
We are amending the act. We are working closely with the multi-agency. Before we are allowed to employ, we are working with the multi-agency.
What are some of the good things in that act? Perhaps the dealers can talk about, even the nation can be so happy about.
The good things in the act, one of them is we are able to regulate.
Right.
It gives us powers to issue license, to cancel license, to advise on the general regulatory framework of the industry. At the same time, this act also gives us powers to gazette inspectors. At the same time, the act has stiff, very stiff penalties for any player in the industry who is involved in misconduct.
Yeah.
And it has prescribed various penalties. Like if you are arrested, you are trading without a license, you are taken to court, you have to pay a fine of 10 million. Or you are imprisoned for a term not less than 5 years. So the act has very stiff penalties. What has been taking place, the act was not being used. Many people are not aware of the existence of the Scrap Metal Council, which is a regulatory framework. At the same time, we have associations, Scrap Metal Association. This association, before we license you as a dealer, you must first go to the association. The association does the vetting. Once they give you a license, that is a trading license. You come to us now with that trading license, then we can do the vetting aspect. Once we do the vetting and we are able to see that you can be involved in this business, we give you a license and we monitor you. But before we monitor you, remember there is also an association. So in case something happens to you, we also contact the association. And at the same time, we are calling the associations to engage their members, to make sure they don't give license to rogue dealers.
What is the response from the Ministry of Trade under CS Moses Kuria?
The Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Moses Kuria, has been very supportive. We have been in constant consultations. He's assisting us in making sure that we gazette the inspectors. At the same time, we are working on gazetting the regulations. In the next couple of weeks, we'll be gazetting the regulations. At the same time, the Act prescribes of 250,000 as license fee for the dealer. But the same Act gives us powers to advise the Cabinet Secretary on other licenses that we can issue. So we are also in consultation within the council, and we are going to have sitting very soon to make sure that we agree that we will issue the 50,000 license. We'll issue the 150,000 for the collector. That is a person at the bottom of the pyramid. We issue the license for the 50,000. We also issue the license for the agent, the 250, the dealer, the smelter, so that we can cover each and everybody within the regulatory framework, even the person at the bottom of the pyramid. At the same time, Waziri has advised us to enlarge our base and engage these associations head. And that's what we have been doing. We'll be having a meeting in Mombasa. That is next week, not next week, this week on Friday, where we are meeting all the dealers, each and every player. And I'm asking all the players within the scrap metal industry to appear. We have also invited the people from Kenya Power, the National Police Service, so that we can have a conversation. How can we arrest the situation to make sure that government infrastructure is not vandalized? On 7th, we'll be having another meeting in Nakuru, where we are meeting all the dealers and players in the industry to make sure we sensitize the members of the public not to engage in misconduct and read to them what the Act prescribed.
Do we have regional offices? Because I would imagine in my home county, far away from Nairobi, we have got people running around, roaming around, vandalizing and all that. Then they go unnoticed. Some of them disappear in thin air. Do we have regional offices?
At the moment, we do not have regional offices.
Then that is a big problem you have, Chair.
And that is one of the challenges that we are facing. We are getting staffs from the Ministry of State Department for Industrialization. So State Department for Industrialization doesn't even have enough staff. The persons whom they have given us, they are our staffs now. But remember, these are not people who the council is paying.
Yeah.
These are people who are being paid by the State Department for Industry. The Act does not allow us to employ. And those are some of the issues that we want to cure in the amendment. So that once we are able to have our own employees, once we are able to have our own secretariat, we can be able to have regional offices. And I can confirm to you, we are developing the human resource tools to make sure that it is in place once we are done with the amendments, which we are fast tracking. And Waziri has been very supportive in the amendments. Once we are done with that, we roll out. We open regional offices, we employ our staffs, we make sure each and every, the parastatals is at par with other parastatals. So there is a lot in store that we are doing.
Chair, KBC is a parastatal, and I'm so sure you can have a collaboration. We can work together in advancing and teaching the masses. I mean, you're in the right place.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. So let me ask you, last week we did a story here, and there are certain people whose licenses were revoked.
Yeah.
What happened?
What happened is, these are people who have been involved in misconduct. They have been arrested. And once inspection is done in the yard, Kenya Power wires have been found, copper and others have been found there. So what we do, we initiate our own investigation as a council. Once we initiate our investigation, we suspend the license and allow the court process to continue. Once the court process is over and this person is found guilty, then the law takes its course. But the remedy that we offer, first we make sure that we are not in business. And that is what we have been doing. We are also investigating even some of the smelters. That one I can confirm to you. And once it is proven that these people are involved in misconduct, we'll not hesitate to cancel the licenses, to suspend the licenses. We will suspend the licenses. So that is what we have been doing. But I can promise you that we will deliver. I'll make sure that we do not allow vandals, the people who are destroying government infrastructure, to roam around. We must protect the industry, at the same time protect the government infrastructure and also public infrastructure from vandalism.
Absolutely. And of course, you know, even former President Uhuru Kenyatta also had, you know, some back and forth with the traders and even some of the millers and even the agency and the ministry. What are you going to do different this time around? I mean, the national government, the ministry, and now as the council, so that it streams down to the common mwananchi, the collectors. We have got the millers, the smelters, what you're talking about. How are you going to streamline that chain so that there is some kind of synergy from top to bottom?
What the former president did, he issued a moratorium to make sure, directing that there was a total ban in the dealing of scrap metal.
Yes.
And I can say this is an industry which has employed millions of people. And imagine introducing a ban. So I believe that was done then, but I wouldn't think that that one we can recommend as a council, which I'm chairing, because we would want first to make sure that we engage everybody. We engage the players. We engage other government agencies. If it goes there, we can recommend to the government, we can recommend to the government that there be a moratorium. But we have not yet reached there. The players are, they are very supportive. The associations are very supportive. Also, we are getting numbers of applicants who are applying for these licenses. So I can say we have a positive shift. Because even, it was even in the newspaper, that during the same moratorium, transformers were being vandalized. So that's why I'm saying we also need a lot of introspection to the people that are being employed. Because these are the same people who are vandalizing, then they sell to. So now we are cautioning the dealers that once a person comes to you having vandalized infrastructure from any government agency or public, reject it. Don't buy. Wait up until the time an advert for the disposal of the scrap is placed by the same department. Then go for it now. And we will be there to offer advisory and also make sure that the people who participate are people whom we have licensed. But now if you receive them through the back door, you'll be in for it. So a lot is taking place. And I'm sure if our members, who are very supportive so far, the association heads who are arranging these meetings, they are also very supportive. I don't see a moratorium coming. If they all agree that we have to end the vice. But in an event that players, if we are not able to arrest the situation, will not sit and allow government infrastructure to continue.
Is Kenya in a position to sustain itself and the industry itself? I mean, at some point I would imagine that people would be running out of raw materials? Or are you planning to import some raw material from other jurisdictions?
Not really. What we have in the country is enough. As I told you, every year our millers consume 300,000 metric tons of scrap. That is for the ferrous, what can be used in the country. You see? But we have also given a small window for the export for what we cannot consume, what our millers cannot consume. So I believe it's sustainable. It's sustainable. And also in the finance bill, we are introducing a heavy tax for those people who would want to import scrap. We are also careful into regulating the export and the import to make sure that Kenya is not a dumping zone.
What is the margin of importation of raw material?
Importation?
Yes, out of 100%, what's the window given? I mean, we have got local millers as well. We have got collectors. So what is percentage given for the importation?
For the importation, we give a very, very small window.
Yes.
A very small window. Because at the same time, we wouldn't want Kenya to be a dumping zone. Yeah. So if whatever is available can sustain the industry, why should we issue import license? And what we have completely banned is the export of what can be consumed by our millers. And that's where we also want to seal our borders.
Chair, you are getting into a situation where we have got, let me call them cartels. It's a multi-billion kind of business, and you know this.
Yeah.
I'm so sure you've been receiving calls from different quarters, people talking this or that, don't do this, don't do that, Chair, do this and that. What are you going to do different to change the whole game plan in the council? Because if you ask me, the common mwananchi down there is suffering. Sufuria imeenda, mabati imeenda, chuma imeenda, the road guardrails imeenda, the transformers are going left, right and center. What's the game plan that you're going to change to turn around the entire council? You have got 3 years to do this.
The game plan that I have is to make sure that we amend this act. Once we amend the act, believe you me, we will have solved 90% of the challenges that are facing the council. The council is being called a toothless dog, I know. But I'm going to use the current act to make sure that we implement what is there before we do the amendment. And that's why I'm in consultation with other agencies, including the KRA, including the National Police Service. And we are also in deliberation with the Waziri, whom the act gives us powers to advise, and he has been very supportive. But we are also looking into how we can be able to tap what is available. That's why at the moment we are using inspectors from the State Department of Industry. But now moving forward, we'll also have deliberations and discussion. We can also recommend having our own police unit.
Okay,
to
Chair,
curb the vandals.
Let's take a quick break. It's 9:01. Let's take a break. And we come back, I'm going to give you a minute or two to give your closing remarks, because at the end of the day, something has to give. Something has to give. So let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll be having our closing remarks with Francis Mogo, who is the chair of the Scrap Metal Council in the country. And a lot is happening. He is the man at the helm of that council as we speak. Taking a break, we'll be right back shortly.
concerned she might be planning something against me.
I don't think so.
Unajifanya kuwa mwanihurumia kumbe hamna lolote.
Waenda kazini kweli ama waenda kukutana na Kate?
Wewe na Pili mna issue gani?
Stop being creepy. You're too cute for that.
Nafusikizeni. Komeni sana kunisha mdomoni kwenu kama mama yenu.
자, 그럼 우리 형사님 각 나오도록 기도합시다. 오, 주님, 형사님의 각을 붙잡고 있는 마귀들을 내쫓아주옵소서.
잘생겼는데 아주.
아니 근데 그냥 가는 건지 가서 인사도 드려봐야 돼.
저희 좀 도와주십시오. 한없이 연약한 어린 대학들입니다. 신부님, 신부님, 제발 좀.
Subhanallah. والحمد لله لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر.
Mwenyezi anasema wala in kafartum, ikiwa mtakufuru neema za Allah, inna adhabi la shadid, hakika adhabu yangu ni nzito, hakuna mtu atakayeweza kuihimili adhabu ya Allah tabaraka wa taala. Aqulu ma tasmaun.
Ikafikia kiwango ambacho na Aisha radhiallahu anha aliweza kumuuliza, hivi mbona wazidisha ibada kwa wingi sana wakati Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala amekujalia neema? Basi Mtume Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam alijibu kwa kuuliza, je, sipaswi kuwa mja mwenye kumshukuru Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ambaye ni Mola wangu?
Sawa, karibu. All right, welcome back. Coming to a close, 2-3 minutes to go. And Chair, someone is asking a question here, our viewer. Actually, is Trisa Omboka, how can one be a metal dealer? The procedure.
How one can be a metal
Yes,
dealer?
to be licensed.
Number one, you must have either a company or a business name to trade with. Number two, you must have a license from NEMA. You must also have not a license, but get a certification, a clearance from National Police Service. That is a police clearance certificate. Number four, that is NEMA clearance from various agencies. A report from NEMA. You must have a yard where you are going to be putting your scrap. Then once you are done with that, you can log into our website and do the application, upload the documents, we'll see from our end, and we'll do we'll process the application for you.
Yeah.
At the same time, you pay the fee, the prescribed fee, because at the moment we have the dealer for 250. Soon we'll be opening for the collector, the 50,000 agent. Yeah. So there are various categories of licenses that we give.
Okay, so where is it done? At your head offices, or how do you do the application?
The applications are online. You do it purely online. Then we call you. The council calls you. Then we tell you on what to do before we prepare our multi-agency that does the vetting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Captain Ondieki asks, what are you going to do with the chokoras? Because, I'm thinking what it means is that the people who, you've seen them walking with sacks and loads of sacks, they're walking around the streets and picking. Those are the people they call probably the vandals. What are you going to do about them?
What we are doing, these are the people at the bottom of the pyramid. That's why we are introducing a license for the people, the collector. And this collector,
license a chokora,
this collector is a person who has a small shop where he collects from the area. So he picks from these people who works with sacks, but is also not will not also allow him to store more than I think 1,000 kgs. So he collects, and he also gives us information if he is within our regulatory framework, he is able to give us information that I received this from so-and-so, I received this from so-and-so. Because also these people who do the collection, the people you are calling chokora, they do a great job. Because imagine, they are cleaning the environment. Remember, scrap metal is a waste. If it's left, it's a hazard. It will have hazardous effect. So once these people do the collection, they take to the collector, who is able now to have a list of whatever he has collected, and he has collected it from who. Yeah. So we want to introduce a license for the collector who will deal with those people who work with sacks.
Okay. There's a guy called Kerandi, asking that the interference from the stakeholders and even some other, interference from the stakeholders is one of the biggest hindrances in streamlining the council. What do you make of that? Yeah, apparently, probably because the question I asked, because of the stakeholders and conflict of interest.
Yeah, there has been so many conflict of interest, but we are seeing into how we can make sure that we overcome it. Any business that is being done, there are people who would want to lock their business from other players coming in. So we are looking into how we can win.
Okay.
And overcome those challenges. There are challenges that are there, and we expect them to be there.
Okay. Chair, I want to let you go. But before I do that, I want to give you closing remarks. What are you going to do in the next 3 years so that at the end of the day, we are going to look back and say that you've streamlined the council once and for all? That is something that people can say that has employed people from, mashinani up to where it is, and you can give it a national outlook. What are you going to do?
What I'm going to do within the span that I'll be the chair for the next 3 years, God willing, I'll push for the amendment of this act. Once I push for the amendment of this act, I'll have powers to make sure that the council is fully operational. Once the act is amended, we can operationalize the act. We can hire people across the country, have regional offices, if it's possible, have county offices. And these county offices, they can be able to work with the players within the county or within the region.
Yeah.
At the same time, I look into bringing sanity. Believe you me, in the next 3 years, with the amendment or not, I'll make sure that there is sanity in the scrap metal industry.
We'll call you back here, God willing, so that you can give us your scorecard to tell us what's happening at the council. You say that you have a meeting on Friday.
I have a meeting on Friday in Mombasa, where I'm meeting all the players in the industry.
Okay.
And the county commissioner will also be present, the county commander, all the players within the industry. We have also asked Ministry of Energy, regional offices, to also be present and also give their views and also come with samples of some of these items that are vandalized. So because we can have a dialogue, we can have a discussion with the players in that particular area and see how we can arrest the situation. After that, I'll have another one in Nakuru, that is next week. We'll have another one here, and these are meetings that we are going to make sure that they are there. We continuously engage the players in the industry.
Okay.
Then at the same time, as I told you, we are consulting. We are in consultation with the Inspector General of Police to give us information. Consultation with KRA to make sure that these people who are smuggling scrap, we nab them. And once we nab them, I think it will be a lesson to others.
All right. Chair, thank you so much. All right, please send our regards to CS Moses Kuria, and perhaps tell him that we also need him here on GMK. You know how we do this.
Thank you very much. I will I'll pass the regards to Moses. At the same time, I would want also to thank the President for appointing me as the chair of the Scrap Metal Council. I am the youngest chair in Kenya, and I'm sure I wouldn't want to let the youths of Kenya down. I would want to make sure that I deliver, so that at least even the youth themselves, even future government, the current government and the future government, can consider young people into senior positions in government. So I'm doing all it takes to make sure that we deliver.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Francis Mugo, Chairperson of Scrap Metal Council under the Ministry of Trade and Investment, headed by CS Moses Kura. We've been talking matters to do with the amendment, the scrap metal dealers in Kenya, and what is planning to do to streamline the council once and for all. All right, that's where we wrap it up on Good Morning Kenya. That has been the viewpoint today. But before we finish, now I'll be taking you over to Safari Park Hotel for the third day of the Kenya International Investment Conference taking place there. There you have it, pictures there, the delegates already seated. We are going to have that discussion taking place very robustly on matters investment in Kenya, playing a pivotal role in that conference. All right, thank you so much for being a part of the show. My name is Victor Olo. Have a good morning and bye-bye for now.
Is where we'd like to call ourselves the pride of Stanbic, is on contract financing. We do sit back to understand the model and structure of your contract and how the deliverables are done within that contract. And on the basis of that contract, we can advance you up to a maximum of 100 million shillings for you to run your solution. So the component of risk is covered within the models of how the deliverables on the contract financing is done. And the last two items is we've partnered with some DFIs to help us de-risk credit. So we've partnered with ATI Insurance, we've partnered with AGF, and we're also one of the 7 banks that is working with the National Treasury Credit Guarantee Scheme to advance credit to SMEs. So these guarantees help us focus on SMEs that we will typically not have turned to as a commercial bank. By virtue of working with these partners, we are then able to give audience to the micro SMEs and be able to extend them funding, and the extension of this funding is up to a maximum of 10 million shillings. Thank you.
Thank you, Bwana Wanyonyi. You know, the SMEs seated here, assuming I'm just finishing school, I don't have land, I don't have anything, and I want to carve money. That's the language.
It's Kenya's call.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks in Africa. Infinity Industrial Park was highly commended at the Kenya International Investment Conference at the KICC and attended by over 2,000 delegates from around the world.
We see it, we hear it, it's Kenya's call. From the cities to the fields of gold, we taste it, we feel it.
My name is Mr. Ashok Rupsisha. I am the group chairman of Abacus Group of Companies. Infinity Industrial Park is one of the group company, and we are developing on 200 acre the modern industrial park within the city of Nairobi. Infinity Park is centrally located between two super highways, Thika Super Highway and Mombasa Road, and also connectivity to the existing industrial area through the Kangundo Road, easily accessible from city center of Nairobi. Infinity is a green and eco-friendly industrial, commercial and logistic park. So our first offer is for the commercial and industrial spaces which we are selling. Later on we may develop some residential for the workers or maybe for the low-cost housing, something like that. I have reserved 20 acre land out of 200 acre, which is just 20% of the 10% of the total area. And but it is not yet decided finally until we find investor who want to develop the low-cost housing. But we have reserved 20 acre land for the development of the houses and apartment. So government has supported us in all the ways. It is the government have to improve on supporting the investor now, the people who want to come here and put up their industries. And they should encourage the investors more investors to come to Kenya. And for them, they should come up with the good policy that is to do business, and maybe some incentives they should give to the foreign investors who want to come and invest here in Kenya. You know, Kenya is the gateway to East and Central Africa. And Kenya has a better infrastructure than any other country within the Africa. So people think to come to Kenya and invest in Kenya and operate from Kenya to tap the African market. We are offering a world-class amenities and facilities within the Infinity Industrial Park that it is known as police station, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, power substation. So we have our own power substation and brand new infrastructure, underground electrical infrastructure, which will offer uninterrupted power supply to the operators within the park. We have police station within the park and the CCTV cameras in entire park, which will make the park utmost secured. We are offering the plots 1 acre or 2 acre or 5 acre, whatever is the customer's requirement. And these plots are black cotton soil removed, backfilling is done, leveling is done. We construct the boundary wall to that plot. We put the metal gate. We connect this plot with the sewer connection, water connection, and 3-phase power connection. So this is the difference. So it is a plug and play concept. So customer, whoever is want to establish their factory in Infinity Industrial Park, they are not wasting time to just do the basic infrastructure. And this is our first cluster which we have developed. And it is our policy that even if we do not make some profit from the first cluster, because it is just 10 acre which we have developed, and other 35 acre is yet to develop for the warehouses especially. So as we develop more warehouses and as the customers have moved into the first clusters and they are operating comfortably, now slowly we will increase the price where we are going to make some profit. But at present we are offering at almost cost to cost price, and that is why our pricing are half the price than the market price within the Nairobi. Yet we are offering the better services, better infrastructure, and better amenities. Well, we have already faced a lot of challenges in past 5 years. That one of them was that when I did the groundbreaking ceremony in 2016, and then after we started going forward for the development, then 2017 was the election year, so there was a political disturbance, and the work was slow. Then after this COVID we have faced last year 2020 and 2021. During the COVID the work was completely stopped, so that is how the work was delaying. And then again 2022 was the election year, so work was again slow and the economy also was down. So the way we were thinking that we will be able to also market Infinity and we will sell plots and warehouses, that did not realize the way we projected.
We taste it, we feel it, it's Kenya's core.
This is Infinity Industrial Park. Within Infinity Industrial Park, we have Infinity Complex, which is built on 10 acre. This is cluster 1. So it is known as Infinity Complex 1, and more to come. And size of the warehouse is 7,616 square foot, each warehouse. So we have 1 million liter underground water tank. We have 75,000 liter overhead tank. We have 2 room, transformer room and control room. We have a generator for the common utilities and pumps to operate. Then we have 2 studio apartments for the caretaker to stay overnight. We have caretaker's office, residence caretaker's office, and it has CCTV cameras, 24-hour armed security patrol. We have 26-meter wide road between opposite warehouses, so people can operate comfortably. Our warehouses are insulated, so there is no heat inside, and it has ample light, so during daytime you don't need to switch on your lights. So this is how we have constructed, and it is the best construction we have done over here with all the amenities and facilities.
Early bird concessions are available to the first few investors. A golden opportunity to invest in this emerging area of Nairobi to get the advantage of price appreciation.
We see it, we hear it, it's Kenya's core. From the cities to the fields of gold. We taste it, we feel it, it's Kenya's core.
Welcome. This is the third day of the Kenya International Investment Conference. at Safari Park, and as usual, KBC Channel 1 is the official media partner. We're keeping tabs on day 3. Just a recap of what we had in day 1. We had President William Ruto give his keynote address and emphasize to African states on the need to trade more and boost intra-African trade that is significantly low at 17%. Some of the issues, especially bottlenecks that were highlighted in the course of this today, include poor infrastructure, lack of harmony in trade policies, as well as issues of quality assurance, and also over-reliance in the export of raw materials instead of focusing on value addition. As a continent, Africa has a market share of 1.3 billion people, and this is a market that remains very lucrative and largely undertapped by African states. The reason why we are having this particular conference, it is day 3, and the conversation this morning is going to be about entrepreneurship. Looking at the case study in Kenya is that a majority of businesses are micro, small holder enterprises. How do we onboard them when it comes to matters of financial inclusion? Are trade policies within the country, favorable for them? Statistics indicate that startups, especially within the digital space, end up closing shop as early as 6 months into their, opening their doors to do business. These are some of the conversations that are going to be happening today, being Wednesday, the 31st of May, as we focus on boosting Africa trade, business to business, Africa trading with Africa. And I'd want to quote the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement there. That is Wamkele Mene, who on day 2 actually challenged African states to trade within each other. And he went further to say that the AFCTA has changed the narrative and corrected a mistake and a notion that Africa can only trade with the rest of the continents, that is Asia, Europe and the United States, and not trade within itself. With 52 states to the table and 1.3 billion people in a population, it is indeed a lucrative market. We have not been working on our own. I have been working alongside none other than Hibak Said, who has also been looking at the aspects in regard to what are the objectives to be met in this particular conference from an exhibitor's point of view. Good morning, Hibak. How are you? Give us your experience, a quick summary of the 2-day conference that we've been having.
Thank you so much, Regina. And of course, you've talked about micro, small and medium enterprises. I had walked around the exhibitions, and I can tell you this, a lot of the small businesses here in Kenya have a lot of policies that they would love to recommend in order to ensure that they can also partake in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. And we are also talking about how they can expand not only within the East African region, but to the entire continent. A lot of MSMEs die before the 3-year mark. A lot of them begin to get stunted after a year. Of course, those MSMEs have tabled these things, and we're going to look at what the conclusion is going to be and what are some of the solutions that they're going to be having. But of course, Regina, you said that the president had also come up with recommendations. There were 54 ministers here, 54 trade ministers who have been converging, and maybe even the policies that they were giving are some that are going to be used to draft the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which had not, began in 2018, but has still not yet been done. Of course, Regina.
Thank you very much. We'll continue keeping tabs. It is day 3 and the final day of this particular iconic conference, and we're expecting by the end of the day, that's around 6 p.m. tonight, we're going to be having an official communique by none other than Trade and Industry Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria, charting the way forward when it comes to Africa doing business with Africa. Today's conversation is about entrepreneurship as well as looking at the new county frontiers, especially for Kenya at a time when government is keenly focused on a Herculean task, and that is to increase its trade investment portfolio, looking at foreign direct investment from the current $500 million to $10 billion within the 7 months to December 31st. Is it possible? Is this particular conference going to be the game changer? We'll be keeping tabs. I'm Regina Manyara. I hand you over to Broadcasting House that is going to be televising the Senate proceedings.
The mountains to the ocean shore.
To get Skizatune Hail Mary, dial *811 *963 #.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
To get Hail Mary, dial *811 *963 #. *811 *963 #.
Iwapo unakohoa, unahisi uchungu kwenye kifua, uchovu kila wakati, joto jingi mwilini, unakosa hamu ya kula au kupoteza uzito haraka bila kukusudia, na kutokwa na jasho jingi usiku, waweza kuwa waugua TB.
Up before senators this morning, and to just take you through the highlights in the order of business this morning is that senators will be considering the state of mental health of police officers. This is a motion by Senator Hamida Kibwana, that are aware that police officers are usually fast responders and are often exposed to traumatic scenes and chronic stressors, and this is such as dangerous situations, injuries and violence, coupled with the need to report and testify about the psychologically stressful scenes, and cognizant of a survey done by the National Police Service Commission in the year 2022, which indicated that at least 12 to 13% of 110,000 police officers have mental health challenges.